Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's debate. My name is James Cooper and I am the chairman, and Ryan George is the timekeeper. The debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators who are Ms. France, Mr. LeBroy, and Ms. Jihad. The topic of this debate is that we should embrace citizen journalism. The affirmative team seated to my right is from Mercedes College, and the negative team seated to my left is from Westminster. The speaking time for this debate is 8 minutes, with a double bell ringing at the end of your speaking time. A warning bell will ring once at 7 minutes. A continuous bell will ring 30 seconds after the final bell. Please switch off your mobile phones and other electronic devices. I declare this debate open. I call upon the first affirmative speaker, Simon A.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that we should embrace citizen journalism, and we, as the affirmative team, strongly support this proposition. Embracing citizen journalism means recognising, supporting, and integrating it into our media landscape as a valuable complement to traditional journalism. Citizen journalism is an emerging and dynamic aspect of modern media that significantly enhances democratic participation and public accountability. To begin, let me define the key terms of the debate. Citizen journalism refers to the practice where ordinary individuals, not professional journalists, actively engage in gathering, reporting, and analysing news and information. This grassroots approach offers a powerful way to influence public discourse and promote transparency in society. Embracing means to fully accept, support, and encourage, not just tolerating, but actively promoting and integrating citizen journalism into the broader media landscape. As the first speaker, I will be arguing that citizen journalism is crucial for advancing democratic values and ensuring public accountability. I will focus on 2 main points. Firstly, how citizen journalism amplifies marginalised voices and uncovers overlooked issues, and second, how it enhances real-time reporting and public accountability. My second speaker will rebut the negative team's arguments and speak to you about the education of media literacy through participation in citizen journalism and the spread of misinformation that would occur without citizen journalism. My third speaker will sum up our team's case and rebut the negative team's arguments. My first point is that citizen journalism amplifies marginalised voices and uncovers overlooked issues. Historically, mainstream media has been criticised for its selective coverage, often prioritising stories that align with corporate or political interests while neglecting issues that affect marginalised communities. This selective coverage can lead to a narrow and sometimes biased perspective of current events. By embracing citizen journalism, we empower individuals from diverse backgrounds to share their perspectives and experiences, resulting in a more inclusive and representative media landscape. For instance, during the Arab Spring, citizen journalists played a crucial role in documenting and sharing the realities of political repression and civil unrest. Ordinary citizens use social media platforms, despite internet restrictions, to provide real-time updates and frame the narrative of the uprisings, countering state-controlled media's portrayal of events. Their on-the-ground reporting and citizen journalism provided a counter-narrative that drew international attention to the plight of those fighting for democracy. This is extensively discussed in the International Journal of Communication, a reputable peer-reviewed academic journal known for its high-quality research on media and communication, which highlights how these grassroots reporters shaped the global understanding of the Arab Spring. Moreover, citizen journalism often highlights issues that mainstream media may overlook or underreport. With the decline of local news outlets that traditionally focus on community issues, gaps in coverage on local matters have emerged. Citizen journalists, particularly those embedded in their communities, fill this void by focusing on local events, community struggles, and grassroots movements with much more efficacy than traditional media does. This local perspective is invaluable for understanding and addressing issues that might otherwise go unreported by larger media organizations. The Knight Foundation, a respected non-profit organization dedicated to fostering informed and engaged communities, has conducted research demonstrating how citizen journalism has become essential in covering local stories that larger outlets might miss. Their findings include case studies of local citizen journalists who have brought crucial community issues to light, providing vital information to the communities they serve. In addition, citizen journalism brings to light stories that challenge dominant narratives and reveal hidden truths. By offering a platform for voices that might otherwise be marginalized, citizen journalism encourages a more diverse and nuanced media environment. This diversity not only enriches public discourse, but also fosters greater empathy and understanding among different segments of society. The role of citizen journalism in diversifying media coverage and exposing underreported issues is explored in Digital Journalism, another authoritative source that analyses the impact of grassroots reporting on mainstream media. My second point is that citizen journalism enhances real-time reporting and public accountability. In today's fast-paced information environment, the ability to report and respond in real time is more crucial than ever. Citizen journalists equipped with smartphones and social media accounts can provide immediate coverage of breaking news, accidents and events. This real-time reporting is essential for keeping the public informed and engaged. The Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism, a renowned establishment in media research, highlights how citizen journalism contributes to the speed and immediacy of news dissemination, filling gaps left by traditional media and offering timely updates on critical issues. For example, during the Black Lives Matter protests, citizen journalists played a pivotal role in documenting instances of police misconduct and violence. Their first-hand accounts, shared through social media platforms, allowed for immediate public scrutiny and pressure upon authorities. The American Civil Liberties Union has reported that videos and live streams by citizen journalists were instrumental in highlighting police brutality and driving public discourse on reform. This level of transparency is essential for holding public officials accountable and ensuring that justice is served. Furthermore, the presence of citizen journalists acts as a further check on traditional media organizations and government bodies. When mainstream media outlets and institutions are scrutinized by independent citizen reporters, there is an increased incentive for them to adhere to ethical structures and avoid biased reporting. The role of citizen journalists in enhancing media accountability is examined in journalism studies, which shows that citizen journalism provides alternative sources of information and exposes potential biases for mainstream media. The capacity for real-time reporting also empowers individuals to take action based on current events. During natural disasters, citizen journalists provide crucial updates and safety information, helping affected communities respond more effectively. National Geographic has highlighted how citizen-generated content during events like hurricanes provides valuable information for emergency responders and local authorities, enhancing overall disaster management. This immediacy not only supports emergency response, but also fosters a sense of community and shared responsibility. Moreover, citizen journalism prevents a more engaged and informed public. By participating in the creation and dissemination of news, individuals become more aware of their surroundings and are better equipped to contribute to societal discussion. This increased civic engagement is vital for the health of the democracy, as it encourages more people to be actively involved in the issues that affect their communities. The Pew Research Center, a non-partisan think tank known for its rigorous social science research, has explored the impact of citizen journalism on civic engagement. Their findings demonstrate how citizen reporting can lead to greater public involvement and awareness, which are crucial for a thriving democracy. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, embracing citizen journalism is a crucial step toward enhancing democratic participation and public accountability. By amplifying marginalised voices and uncovering overlooked issues, citizen journalism contributes to a more inclusive and representative media landscape. Additionally, real-time reporting by citizen journalists enhances transparency and accountability, holding institutions and authorities to higher standards. As we move forward, it is essential to support and integrate citizen journalism into our media ecosystem to promote a more engaged, informed, and equitable society. Thank you.
I call upon the first negative speaker, Sylvie Jagged.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate tonight is that we should embrace citizen journalism. We, the negative team, firmly believe that this statement is false. We agree with the definition provided by the affirmative team. Tonight, as first speaker, I will be discussing the credibility and professionalism concerns of citizen journalism and the legal risks and vulnerabilities. Our second speaker, Zara, will explore oversaturation and misinformation and how this creates an echo chamber. And our third speaker, Dia, will rebut and sum up our team case. I would first like to rebut the points of the opposition speaker. The first speaker of the affirmative team has argued that citizen journalism amplifies marginalised voices. However, as I will expand on further, ordinary citizens do not have the same education and training as professional journalists, leading to worries about the accuracy and credibility of their stories. Citizen journalists also do not have the same press protection as professional journalists, leading to safety risks to the individual and their families. The opposition also argued that citizen journalism enhances real-time reporting of news and issues. The emphasis on speed can often compromise accuracy. In the rush to report breaking news, citizen journalists might spread unverified or incorrect information. This can lead to misinformation being disseminated rapidly before proper fact-checking can occur, which traditional journalists' slower but more rigorous process seeks to prevent. Tonight, I will be discussing 2 key points. My first point concerns the credibility and professionalism of citizen journalism. Citizen journalism is carried out by ordinary people without formal training, often using digital platforms to share news and opinions. Professional journalism is conducted by trained journalists who work for established media organisations, adhering to ethical standards, fact-checking, and editorial oversight. The key difference lies in the level of training, accountability, and editorial standards. The ease in which anyone can contribute to the news cycle has its downsides. In the pursuit of clicks and shares, misinformation and sensationalization often take centre stage, leading to the spread of fake news and misinformation. This raises questions about the credibility and reliability of citizen journalism, especially when compared to the rigorous fact-checking processes that are employed by professional journalists. In fact, professional journalists undergo years of education and hands-on training to develop critical skills. The University of South Australia offers a Bachelor of Journalism and Professional Writing, which is a 3-year full-time program. The course provides a strong foundation in journalism principles, including news writing, media law, and digital media. Cadetships are also offered by media outlets like The Advertiser and ABC Adelaide. These programs typically last between 12 and 24 months, providing structured training under the mentorship of seasoned journalists. Cadets receive practical, on-the-job training, often rotating through different departments such as news, features, and digital media. Journalism demands integrity, accountability, and a commitment to the truth, which are traits cultivated through formal training and experience. Journalism is more than just putting forth opinions. It's about responsible reporting, objectivity, and presenting all sides of an issue with no bias. Citizen journalists need to be committed to thorough research and verification to ensure the accuracy of their stories. Expanding the range of voices is valuable, but without proper vetting and fact-checking processes, citizen journalism can spread misinformation. Therefore, we should not embrace citizen journalism. My next point shows the legal risks and vulnerability of citizen journalism. During the summer and autumn of 2009, Finnish animal rights activists entered dozens of pig farms in secret in order to document the animals' living conditions. In December of 2009, the activist spokesperson negotiated the first release of the video footage with the current affairs program, A Studio. 11 pig farmers eventually sued the activists for defamation. Defamation involves making a false statement about a person that damages their reputation. In written or published form, this is known as libel. Professional journalists are trained to avoid libel by ensuring their reporting is based on verified facts and by avoiding statements that could unjustifiably harm someone's reputation. They understand the importance of providing evidence and allowing subjects to respond to allegations. Citizen journalists, often lacking this training, may inadvertently publish defamatory statements. This could happen due to misinterpretation, spreading rumours, or simply failing to verify information before showing it. Professional journalists are trained to balance the public's right to know with an individual's right to privacy. They are cautious about publishing private information, especially if it doesn't serve a legitimate public interest. Citizen journalists, however, might not be aware of these boundaries and often publish private information that leads to harm or distress. In Australia, privacy laws are primarily governed by the Privacy Act of 1988, protecting individuals from the unauthorised collection, use or disclosure of their personal information. Professional journalists often have certain exemptions under this Act when their work is in the public interest and adheres to ethical guidelines. However, they must still balance the public's right to know with an individual's right to privacy, avoiding unnecessary intrusions. Citizen journalists do not have these exemptions and may inadvertently overstep privacy laws due to a lack of formal training and editorial oversight. They might publish private details without consent, blur the lines between public interest and private matters, or fail to protect their sources adequately. This lack of awareness and guidance increases the risk of privacy violations, which can lead to both legal and ethical issues. The Pig Factory case demonstrates the legal vulnerabilities associated with citizen journalism. By entering pig farms without permission, the activists broke the law, which resulted in lawsuits for defamation and demands for substantial financial compensation. Citizen journalists, driven by passion rather than adherence to legal protocols, can inadvertently expose themselves to legal repercussions. Additionally, these actions may undermine the credibility of their reporting and shift the focus from the issue at hand to the legality of the methods used, ultimately diminishing the impact of the advocacy. This case further enhances the reasons why we should not embrace citizen journalism. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, that is why we, the Negative team, firmly believe we should not embrace citizen journalism. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Lauren Garrick.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that we should embrace citizen journalism, and we, the affirmative team, strongly believe that this statement is true. Our first speaker spoke to you about how citizen journalism amplifies marginalised voices and uncovers overlooked issues, and how it enhances real-time reporting and public accountability. I will speak to you about the education of media literacy through the participation in citizen journalism, and how, in times of crisis, institutional bodies can publish misinformation through the appeal to people's emotions, and how citizen journalism combats this. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team's case. I will now rebut the first negative speaker's case. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that there are professionalism concerns regarding citizen journalism. This is wrong because such concerns also exist regarding traditional media outlets, whose status as members of corporations can bias them to omit certain facts to support their story. Such concerns do not exist for independent citizen journalists. They also tried to tell you that citizen journalists are not trained to not spread false information. This is wrong because, as I will also highlight in my second point, the spread of misinformation is also seen by professional journalists and institutional bodies, not only and not always by citizen journalists. The first negative speaker has also tried to tell you that there are legal risks regarding citizen journalists and their activities, referencing how journalists are more likely to be subject to liabilities. This is wrong. as traditional journalists are still subject to liability cases. Take, for example, Johnny Depp, strung by traditional media organisations for defamation. Now to my first point, the education of media literacy through participation in citizen journalism. According to the Centre for Media Literacy, this process involves providing individuals with the skills necessary to understand, analyse, and create media content effectively. It includes teaching essential abilities such as evaluating sources, identifying media bias, and recognising misinformation. Citizen journalism, where individuals report news and information outside traditional media structures, serve as a practical application of these skills. Participants learn to use various tools and platforms to share their perspectives and contribute to public discourse. An article written by David Elliott, an administrator from the Monash University Digital Education Review, explored the integration of citizen journalism into Australian schools and its impact on students and educational practices. This integration provides students with practical skills in reporting, media production, and digital literacy. For example, schools in Melbourne are using media platforms to allow students to produce and share their own content and practice these skills of citizen journalism. David Elliott has also stated that by allowing students to report on local issues or school events, it creates projects such as student-run news websites or school newspapers, and encourages active participation and critical thinking. The article states that by students having this opportunity, it enhances their analytical skills and their awareness of the world around them, while ultimately allowing them to take on the role of a citizen journalist when publishing this information to these community sites. This article highlights how citizen journalism influences educational settings. The transformative potential of citizen journalism in education is able to engage students and help them understand the need for careful management to ensure responsible and accurate reporting. The approach shared in this article allows for the embrace of citizen journalism and understanding its uses, and how it assists the information institutional bodies produce. Now, to my second point, how in times of crisis, institutional bodies appeal to people's emotions and how citizen journalism combats this. Linguist Alan Bell, in a report titled The Language of News Media, states that journalistic bodies often appeal to people's emotions through various techniques designed to evoke strong responses from their audience. These techniques are employed to capture attention, engage readers, and drive home the normally negative impact of news stories. Citizen journalism is able to combat this and highlight the real facts and figures. To illustrate my case, I will be referring to the Melbourne lockdowns during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Parliament of Australia, on Tuesday the 31st of March, Melbourne went into their first lockdown as the COVID-19 virus reached Victoria in 2020. From then on, major institutional bodies frequently used emotionally charged headlines that capitalised on public fears and anxieties about the virus. Headlines from articles such as Lockdown and Afraid, Melbourne's Fight Against a Silent Killer, published by The Australian, and In the Shadow of Death, Melbourne's Battle Against COVID-19, published by the Sydney Morning Herald, employed dramatic language to evoke urgency and fear. These phrases like silent killer and shadow of death tried to intensify the reader's fears. Such headlines only highlighted the risks and used dramatic, emotionally impactful terms to capture attention. This approach often overshadowed information about preventive measures. As stated previously, Alan Bell's report highlights the media using exaggeration to engage audiences, often focusing on emotional responses rather than balanced reporting that includes, in this case, solutions and ways to battle against the virus. To combat these fears, according to the Information, Communication and Society, during the COVID-19 pandemic, citizen journalists used platforms like Twitter, now known as X, and Facebook to share and cross-verify information about the virus and its spread. During the lockdowns, Twitter accounts Victoria, SMP, and Melbourne Update, both run by local citizens, shared information from the Victorian Department of Health on COVID-19 case numbers and vaccine updates. They stated that despite some reports from the institutional bodies previously stated, vaccines are proving effective in reducing severe cases and that the data showed a significant decrease in cases compared to the previous month, countering media reports that exaggerated risks and vaccine ineffectiveness. By offering fact-based information and also sharing direct links to official sources, these citizen journalists help to reduce unnecessary fear and confusion, providing a more balanced view compared to the emotionally charged headlines of established institutional bodies. Without citizen journalists checking information and posting true facts and figures, the public may not have known that this information was not reliable. Citizen journalists also often engage directly with their audiences, fostering a two-way communication channel, allowing for immediate feedback and the correction of inaccuracies. By embracing citizen journalism, we are not trying to discredit these institutional bodies, but we are trying to enhance the credibility of these sources and educate those around us of the importance of the perspectives and educational opportunities that citizen journalism provides. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the affirmative team, strongly believe that from the reasoning presented, we should embrace citizen journalism. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Zara Chowdhury.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that we should embrace citizen journalism. We, the negative team, fervently refute this statement. Our first speaker has highlighted the credibility and professionalism issues with citizen journalism. She also addressed the legal risks and vulnerabilities, emphasizing how the absence of formal regulations can expose individuals to potential legal liabilities. Tonight, I'll be discussing 3 points. My first point is about the overwhelming saturation of information due to citizen journalism. My second point will accentuate the dangers of misinformation fueled by citizen journalism. And finally, my third point will wrap up by addressing how citizen journalism exacerbates echo chambers, deepening societal polarization. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team's case. Before I go on with my argument, I'd first like to point out the many flaws in the opposition team's case. The opposition has argued that citizen journalism is essential in raising issues that mainstream media may overlook. This is wrong, as such journalism is bound to lead to oversaturation, something I will later elaborate on. Such oversaturation of information leads to a chaotic media landscape which threatens the quality of public discourse. The first affirmative speaker has stated that citizen journalism provides diverse perspective. While this statement may be true, according to the International Laws of Journalism Review, the quantity of voices does not necessarily translate to accuracy or reliability. Therefore, we must prioritize rigorous fact-checked journalism. The second affirmative speaker has also argued that citizen journalism is essential to avoid bias. This is wrong, as the absence of editorial standards can lead to sensationalism or exploitation of sensitive issues. As our first speaker has already highlighted, professional journalists undergo years of education to specifically avoid bias in their reports, something citizen journalists lack. Now to my first point, which is that the rise of citizen journalism has led to an overwhelming saturation of information, creating a chaotic media landscape where distinguishing between credible and unreliable sources is becoming increasingly difficult. Hard news, which focuses on significant events like politics, economics, and international affairs, is now often overshadowed by soft news, content that is frequently sourced from social media and designed to generate clicks, views, and comments, rather than provide substantive information. This prioritization of such content diminishes the visibility of crucial news stories. Moreover, the ease of publishing and sharing content online has resulted in the explosion of information, much of which is unverified and low in quality. A report by the Australian Communications and Media Authority found that 64% of Australians are overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information available, highlighting the challenges of navigating this oversaturated environment. This saturation can lead to information fatigue, where individuals become desensitized to important news, or even worse, develop cynicism and disengagement. As a result, this chaotic media landscape threatens the quality of public discourse and undermines the informed citizenry that is essential for a healthy democracy. Therefore, it is essential that we avoid embracing citizen journalism to prioritize rigorous, fact-checked journalism. Now to my second point, which is about the unchecked spread of misinformation that citizen journalism fuels. As our first speaker established, citizen journalists often lack the resources and training to verify the accuracy of the information they publish. This creates the opportunity for rapid spread of misinformation, which can have dire consequences. A prominent example of this is the recent public scrutiny surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, whose private health issues were subjected to a frenzy of speculation and unfounded conspiracy theories, which, according to Dr. Travis Holland, a senior lecturer in communication in the Charles Sturt University, were driven by citizen journalists and unverified sources on social media. Hashtags such as #WhereIsKate reached 400 million people, with posts being shared millions of times across platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. Such invasive coverage left Middleton with no choice but to release an emotional video message revealing her cancer diagnosis and ongoing treatment. Kate's decision to address the issue publicly was not made voluntarily, but was a direct result of the relentless pressure and invasive speculation from citizen journalists. Citizen journalism, lacking established standards, can lead to invasions of privacy and the spread of unverified claims, whereas professional journalists, as highlighted by our first speaker, are bound by ethical guidelines to protect individual rights and ensure accuracy. Furthermore, according to a study by MIT, false news stories are 70% more likely to be retweeted than the truth, highlighting the alarming speed and scale at which misinformation can spread through citizen journalism. Misinformation has been linked to events as severe as the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, which, according to a study in the American Journalism Review, proves the, and I quote, impact of misinformation fueled by social media and citizen journalism. The conspiracy theory, which falsely claimed that high-profile Democrats were involved in a child trafficking ring operating out of a Washington, D.C. pizzeria, began circulating on social media shortly before the 2016 US presidential elections and led to a man armed with a rifle convinced he was rescuing children from a non-existent trafficking ring. It was driven by tweets from accounts promoting conspiracy theories by influential social media figures. These examples just further accentuate the real-world dangers of misinformation, which is made worse by the unregulated nature of citizen journalism. Therefore, citizen journalism just undermines the integrity of public discourse and erodes trust in media as a whole, which is why we should not embrace citizen journalism. Now to my third and final point. The prevalence of citizen journalism exacerbates the issue of echo chambers, where individuals are exposed primarily to information that reinforces their pre-existing beliefs, thereby deepening societal polarisation. According to the Australian Communications and Media Authority, 20% of Australians nominated social media as their main source of information in 2023, highlighting the significant role these platforms play in shaping public opinion. In an era where algorithms on social media platforms prioritize content that aligns with user preferences, citizen journalism can contribute to the creation and reinforcement of these echo chambers. Dr. Rasmus Nielsen, director of the Institute for the Study of Journalism at Oxford University, warns that citizen journalism, when unfiltered, can contribute to the fragmentation of public discourse as people increasingly seek out information that aligns with their biases. This fragmentation has serious implications for democratic societies. It fosters division, reduces opportunities for constructive dialogue, and makes it more difficult to reach a consensus on important issues. The rise of echo chambers also means that misinformation and extremist views can be amplified within closed networks, going unchallenged and becoming more deeply entrenched. In this way, citizen journalism can inadvertently lead to a more divided and less informed society, where the lack of shared information and understanding undermines the social cohesion that is necessary for a functioning democracy. This is why we must not embrace citizen journalism. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot afford to embrace a form of journalism that weakens our ability to discern the truth, and acts as a vessel to spread misinformation and divides our society. The stakes are too high, which is why we must stand for accountable, rigorous journalism that truly serves the public good. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Gina Brotto.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for this debate is that we should embrace citizen journalism. We, the affirmative team, strongly believe that this statement is true. Now to my rebuttal. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that the speed of citizen journalists compromises accuracy, and that the slowness of traditional media means that they are more credible and more accurate. However, she provided no evidence on this slow process or statistics on how this slow method has been credible, as well as any case studies on how this has been more credible than citizen journalism. The first negative speaker spoke about the lack of training that citizen journalists have, speaking about the Bachelor of Journalism and Professional Writing at the University of South Australia, as well as issues of credibility and accountability that stem from citizen journalists not possessing a journalism degree. However, with our journalists, a Bachelor of Journalism and Professional Writing or any sort of training in communication and journalism is not the only degree. Lots of journalists have completed a separate course. The Monash University has stated that journalists can be trained in any subject. They don't have to necessarily have the skills from the Bachelor of Journalism and Professional Writing. The rise of digital literacy has ensured that even citizen journalists can self-educate in this topic. The first negative speaker spoke about how misinformation can be spread through citizen journalism. However, this is a slippery slope fallacy, since citizen journalism doesn't always have the effect of misinformation. Again, the first negative speaker stated an assumption with a lack of evidence or examples that citizen journalism spreads misinformation. She also talked about how traditional media sources are cautious about misinformation. However, there is no information again on this cautious process. The first negative speaker spoke about the legal risks and spread of private information. However, to embrace citizen journalists, we must treat them like traditional journalists when embracing citizen journalism, providing clear education, clear guidelines, fact-checking, reviewing, and editing from social media and news outlets, which I will discuss in a later rebuttal point. The second negative speaker spoke about the oversaturation of the media landscape and that it is designed to create clicks, views, and shares. However, again, provided no evidence on the cause and effect of this. The second negative speaker spoke about how 64% of Australians are overwhelmed by and are thus developing cynicism. This is another slippery slope fallacy. Just because they are overwhelmed does not mean that they will develop cynicism. As well as this, who was actually involved in this survey? Was it a really small population or a population of old people? We're not sure. Second negative speakers tried to tell you that the quantity of voices does not lead to accuracy. While it may not lead to accuracy and hold many different perspectives, this will allow for people to see what information is true or false based on the credibility and information shared, as it has more than one source or body verifying the information. The second negative speaker highlighted the example of the Princess of Wales and speculations around her health condition. Verified sources also showed this information on 7 News, 9 News, and ABC News, as this was a highly popular topic covered by both citizen journalists and professional journalists and institutionalised bodies. The negative team has tried to tell you that citizen journalism leads to an oversaturation in information, something that they have labelled negative. This is wrong, as an excess and democratisation of information allows for members of society to become more educated. The negative team has tried to tell you that citizen journalism creates an unchecked spread of misinformation. This is wrong. Take, for example, the Central Park jogger. the Central Park Jogger case, in which traditional media outlets accused innocent teenagers of a gruesome crime, contributing towards public outrage towards these innocent boys. Both speakers have raised concerns about editing and fact-checking. However, a study from Monash University created a model for citizen journalism. When we embrace citizen journalism, this means that we create better resources, including better fact-checking, editing and reviewing of content, and better digital literacy education programs in English subjects in schools. Citizen journalism will never truly go away with the simple access that we all have at our fingertips to social media. So instead, we should not only embrace citizen journalism, but in embracing, ensure that we provide fact-checking, editing and reviewing to our growing citizen journalists. The negative team has tried to tell you that citizen journalism exacerbates the issue of echo chambers. This is wrong, as citizen journalism leads to an increase in available nation, leading to increased views from all sides of the political spectrum becoming apparent, enhancing diversity and of thought. The second negative speaker stated that citizen journalists are armed with a rifle. This is an appeal to the emotions fallacy by highlighting damage and not looking at why citizen journalists posted about this topic, as it has a community full of concern. Our first speaker has already defined citizen journalism as the practice where ordinary individuals, not professional journalists, actively engage in gathering, reporting, and analysing news and information. His arguments focused on how citizen journalism is crucial for advancing democratic values and ensuring public accountability, citing the example of the role of citizen journalists during the Arab Spring, as well as the role of citizen journalists in real-time reporting during the Black Lives Matter protests. Our second speaker elaborated on how the education of media literacy through participation in citizen journalism, specifically how the Centre for Media Literacy states this process involves providing individuals with the skills necessary to understand, analyse and create media content effectively by teaching essential abilities such as evaluating sources, identifying media bias and recognising misinformation. She also discussed how platforms like social media enable citizen journalists to collaborate on fact-checking and exposing false information. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, it is clear to see from the evidence presented that we should certainly embrace citizen journalism. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Dia Patel.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the topic for this debate is that we should embrace citizen journalism. We, the negative team, irrefutably believe that this statement is false. Now to my rebuttal. The first speaker of the affirmative team stated that transparency from citizen journalism allows the holding of public officials accountable. Even though citizen journalism could hold accountability, it requires deep investigative skills, legal knowledge, and the ability to protect sources, all areas which professional journalists excel because they've been taught so. Professional journalists are trained to investigate and report on local issues with the necessary considerations. While citizen journalists can indeed expose wrongdoings, without the backing of a professional organisation, they lack the resources to follow through on a story or withstand the legal pressures, as our first speaker has explained. This can lead to incomplete reporting or even personal harm, undermining the very accountability they seek to promote. Citizen journalists in these environments are also more vulnerable to government retaliation than professional journalists. Their first affirmative speaker has also stated that citizen journalism allows the highlighting of views that mainstream media overlooks and has greater efficacy in doing so. While citizen journalists may do so,
the quality and depth of reporting are often compromised. Mainstream media organisations have the resources, expertise, and networks to conduct thorough investigations, cross-check facts, and provide the context required to prevent the information being twisted. Citizen journalists may lack the training or resources to do this, leading to superficial or inaccurate reporting. Even if mainstream media fails to cover certain stories, the solution is to push for better representation, not to rely on possibly untrained individuals who might miss critical points in the storyline. Serving as a check on traditional media is important, but it must be done with a commitment to accuracy and ethics. The first affirmative speaker has also stated that social media can be used to provide real-time news. Even though citizen journalism can address some local issues, it often lacks the depth of professional reporting. Local news may be vital, but it should be handled with the same level of scrutiny and standards as national or international news. Citizen journalists may not have these resources to thoroughly investigate the stories in real time, leading to incomplete or misleading coverage. These stories may be valuable, but are also subjective and can lack context or broader understanding. Professional journalism, on the other hand, aims to contextualize these experiences with larger narratives, providing the public with a more comprehensive and accurate picture. Without this context, real-time reports from citizen journalists can lead to misinterpretation or oversimplification of complex issues. The first affirmative speaker has also stated that citizen journalism promotes transparency within the news and is less biased than mainstream media. While transparency is important, the lack of accountability in citizen journalism can lead to the spreading of false information. Transparency without accuracy can be dangerous, as it can create a false sense of legitimacy for unverified reports. Professional journalism, on the other hand, balances transparency with responsibility, ensuring that what is shared with the public is not only open, but is also accurate. The news process is complex and requires more than just citizen participation. It requires expertise, context, and ethical considerations that are likely beyond the reach of citizen journalists. Additionally, the assumption that citizen journalism is free from hidden agendas is naive. Individuals, like institutions, can have biases, and without the editorial oversight that professional journalism does have, these biases go unchecked. Professional journalism, while not perfect, has systems in place to identify and mitigate biases that citizen journalism just doesn't. The first affirmative speaker has also stated that citizen journalism allows the inclusion of marginalised voices. Empowering marginalised voices may be crucial, but it's important to ensure that these stories are told with the necessary context and accuracy. Professional journalists are trained to handle these sensitive topics and give marginalised communities a platform while maintaining ethical standards. Citizen journalists, while well-intentioned, may lack the training to navigate these complexities, potentially leading to misrepresentation or exploitation of these stories. Rapid mobilisation from these stories can sometimes lead to reactive, rather than informed, attempts for change. While it can indeed spark social change, the lack of thorough vetting and analysis may mean that such movements are based on incomplete or inaccurate information. The opposition has also stated that there is a more engaged and aware public through citizen journalism. While citizen journalism might encourage some level of engagement, it often leads to superficial understanding than deep informed knowledge. The second affirmative speaker has stated that citizen journalism increases the education of media literacy. However, while some citizen journalists may transition into professional journalism, this path is not without risks. Without proper training and ethical guidance, these individuals might not develop habits that are aligned with the standards of professional journalism. And by the opposition stating this, they are just acknowledging the superiority in terms of credibility and accuracy of professional journalism. The second affirmative speaker has also stated that there is always a negative connotation of news articles published by mainstream media. This is a mass generalisation, as not all articles published by professional journalists are negatively connotated. As our first speaker has established, professional journalists have been educated to provide objective views. Comparatively, citizen journalism can easily become a platform for the spread of misinformation, particularly in an age of social media where information can go viral quickly. Without the checking of facts and balance that professional journalism exhibits, the risk of unverified information being widespread publicly is significantly higher. The second affirmative speaker has also provided the example of the Johnny Depp case. However, this case is irrelevant, as this debate regards the use of citizen journalism. While news companies may cater to the public with clickbait headlines, the stories are fact-checked and sources are referenced throughout the articles. Appealing to emotion grabs attention and easily brings awareness to the issues, while citizen journalism only leans on clickbait, while also spreading misinformation. The second affirmative speaker has also said in an example about Black Lives Matter. In this case, videos on TikTok and Instagram took off, with many even reaching professional news companies. However, the lack of fact-checking and nothing to back these stories up led to over-exaggeration of stories and cases, while also putting people and their families at risk of online and real-life violence. Now to my summary. Our first speaker first established how the credibility and professionalism of citizen journalism is lower compared to professional journalists. Her second point circulated around the legal risks and vulnerability of citizen journalism. Our second speaker talked about the oversaturation of information and the unchecked spread of misinformation. She furthered this by explaining that citizen journalists often lack the resources and training to verify the accuracy of the information they spread. Her final point emphasised that citizen journalism exacerbates echo chambers. She described how individuals are exposed primarily to information that reinforces their pre-existing beliefs, deepening societal polarisation and possibly amplifying extremist views. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the negative team, undoubtedly believe that we should not embrace citizen journalism. Thank you.
While the adjudicator finalises the result, I will read the seeking chairman notices. There aren't any, so please come on yourself quiet.
Summoned.
I now invite the adjudicator, Miss Jihan, to come forward.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say congrats for both teams to making it to this round. Semi-finals, very big deal. You should all be very proud of yourselves. With a split decision tonight, the win has gone to the negative team. And the speaker of the night goes to Simon, the first affirmative speaker.